Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So the title of I'm Dr. Saqib, associate working as an associate professor in Precision Agriculture Lab, Center for Advanced Studies in Agriculture and Food Security at University of Agriculture, Faisalabad. The title of my presentation is From Sky to Soil, How UAVs and AI are revolutionizing plant phenotyping. So basically, first of all, I will explain a little bit about the electromagnetic spectrum because this is the basics of our work. So we have a visible spectrum over here. It starts about 700 nanometer up to this point, about 1,000 nanometers. So in this visible spectrum, we can see different colors. Different colors are available in this visible spectrum. But just before this visible spectrum, means over here we have R, G, B, and then we have this ultraviolet, and before R we have over here we have infrared bands. So this infrared band is actually very important to monitor plant health. Okay, so this is one of the key bands which we will going to use in this work in order to measure different traits of plants. So in case of visible light, for example, if we have a white surface and we have this visible light, means white light directly sourced from the sun. So we can see that from the white surface, all the bands in the visible spectrum are reflected back. Because of this total reflection of the visible white light, we can see a white color. Over here, we have a black surface and no light is reflected from there. That's why this object is look like it's black to our eyes. In this particular case, this is a red surface, and only why we are seeing it as red, because red light is reflected back from this surface, from the visible light spectrum. Same is the case why the plants are green and the flowers are red, because they are reflecting a particular band from the sun, from the light source coming from the sun. So when we apply this thing on plants, you can see in visible light we have R, G, and B. And before R, we have near infrared. So if we have a healthy leaf, in healthy leaf, a big portion of near infrared is reflected back. Reflected back. We have RGB, this is our visible spectrum. And plus, this is near infrared, which we cannot see with our eyes. So you can see near infrared and green. These are the major bands which are reflected back from a healthy tree. But if we have a dead tree, a reflection of all the bands is somehow similar from the dead leaf. But if we have, for example, water stressed leaf, we have a crop which is suffering from some kind of a water stress due to some kind of heat wave. So you can see their reflection pattern is quite different. So this is the basics This is the basics what we use in capturing different phenotypic traits of plants or the crops using UAVs. So from these reflections, we have a set of different standards with the help of on which different multiple indices, just like the most famous one of is normalized difference vegetation index. In generic, we call it as NDVI. It's actually a ratio between near infrared and red bands. Same is the case with green normalized different vegetation index. It is the ratio between the difference of reflection of near infrared, green, and green bands. And this is for the red band. And this is for NIR and red band. So these indexes, we can calculate these indexes from this reflectance. So drones are playing a vital role in agriculture, particularly for crop health monitoring. And also there are many applications where we can use drone in spraying and fertilizer spreading. So over here, we are just talking about using drones to scan the crop for its health. So over here, we have two different kinds of drones. We call it as copters, and this is our fixed wing. Both of these drones have different pros and cons, but generically, if we have very small plot size is small, we use these copters. But if the field is quite large, we prefer to use these fixed wings because they can cover large areas, about 8 to 10 kilometers in single flight. So there are multiple applications of drones in agriculture for precision agriculture, crop monitoring, health assessment, seeding and planting, irrigation scheduling, crop scouting and pest control, and livestock monitoring. In this presentation, we are looking about high throughput plant phenotyping. So in high throughput plant phenotyping, normally this is done manually. We have to do some kind of a visual inspections. We have to make some manual measurements. It's time consuming and difficult to scale because we cannot do it on a large scale. With the help of these drones and satellite imagery, or in generic, we can say that remote sensing, we can use these drones equipped with different sensors to do high throughput phenotyping. We just get the bird eye view of the field and collect the data and apply different AI models for quick analysis. So it's quite efficient, and it gives quite better results as compared to the manual measurements. So just I mentioned earlier, we have these two type of drones we are currently working with. One is Matris Pro 600. And we have SenseFly EBX. One is copter and one is fixed wing. So for Matris Pro, we have this Altum sensor. And this is multispectral, means it can capture 5 bands individually along with R, G, and B, red, green, and blue, plus two more. Along with this, it has a thermal sensor. It can also capture the signatures of infrared signatures. So it can capture 5 different bands. Over here, we also have this red edge from the MikaSense. It has dual cameras. So beside RGB, it can also capture 7 more bands in a single flight. We do not need to fly because it's a dual camera, so we can capture these 10 bands in a single flight. So these are the sensors for EBX, for fixed wing drones. Over here we have DUIT M. It's RGB plus multispectral. Besides red, green, and blue, it also captures some multispectral bands. And this is DUIT T. It has RGB camera over here, and plus it also have a thermal sensor. With the help of which we can measure the traits like crop water stress. So in breeding programs, this high throughput phenotyping using UAVs is very important. UAVs are increasingly used in wheat breeding programs to accelerate the selection of superior genotypes. High throughput phenotyping with UAVs allow breeder to assess large populations for desired traits quite efficiently. Data can inform genotypes by environment interactions and assist in development of climate resilient or heat resilient wheat varieties. So this kind of experiment is currently running in our university. So I will discuss this case study, wheat high throughput phenotyping using drone. Wheat phenotyping is the process of measuring and analyzing physical and biophysical traits of wheat plants. We used AVs equipped with different sensors like RGB, multispectral, plus thermal. So we are mostly dealing with these 3 types of sensors. So for the first step is the data set collection. We have to attach these multispectral and thermal sensors with the drones, and we have to fly over the field. You can see these are multispectral images we have took with the help of this Matrix Pro 600 and a multispectral sensor. Important thing is time series data. Wheat crop is for about 5 to 6 months. So before harvesting, at least once in a week, 1 or 2 times in a week, 1 to 2 times in a week, you have to collect this data with the help of drone. You can see over here we have the data from the germination stage. These are different plots. You can see these are different plots. In each plot there is a different genotype. So this is the germination stage. Over here we can see that the germination is not very good. And this is the you can say that the flowering stage, and this is the grain formation stage. So during this time period, 5 to 6 months, we have to collect the data on at least on weekly basis. So this is one of the important things that we have to do in case of phenotyping. An important thing while we are collecting the data is georeferencing. Because we need a time series data, but there's a variability in flying the drones. So for that georeference, we have to georeference our field. Over here, we have installed different GCPs. Ground control points are the physical markers with known geographic coordinates. We have marked different ground control points, and with the help of a GPS, we manually noted their coordinates, GPS coordinates of these points. So before flying the drone, we mark these points in the field. They are normally 10 to 15, mostly because our area is just because that trial was done in an area about 1.5 acres. Because area is small, so we place 10 to 15 GCPs over there with known GPS coordinates. So later on, when we process these images, these coordinates will help us to inline the data collected through different flights during the growing period of the wheat. So that's why it's important to install these ground control points, physical markers, to know the exact geographic position of these points. So later on, we can inline our different different flight images of different flights, so that they can overlap each other. Otherwise, there will be a problem in making alignment of these images that have been taken through different flights at different time periods. So after that, when we collected the data, now we will do point cloud classification. So in point cloud classification is a process that after the acquisition of the data, the point cloud data obtained from the UBZs into distinct classes and the categories. Over here, you can see we have developed a point cloud mesh, point cloud mesh from our time series data. So this is the third step. So first one, data collection. Obviously, you have to do it on time series basis, from the germination to the grain formation or till the harvesting. Next one is before taking the images, you have to georeference your field so that you have the exact coordinates of these GCPs, so that later on you can inline the images of different flights. Third one is creation of these point cloud classification. With the help of georeference data we have collected through the GCPs plus our images, we develop orthomosaic. We develop an orthomosaic just like this, which is stitching together multiple aerial images of the area. Because over here, we are not using satellite imagery in this particular case study. So we are just stitching together the different images taken at different time series of the crop by combining the GCP's data with the images. Each pixel in the orthomosaic represent a specific geographic location on the Earth's surface, allow us for accurate measurements and analysis. Orthomosaics are commonly used in mapping land surveying and agriculture environments. So next, the fourth step is the generation of orthorectified orthomosaic, in which we combine both our GCPs plus the images we have taken from the drone. Another important thing that in some cases it helps is DSM generation. This is the digital surface model. Digital surface model. So this is we developed with the help of our RGB sensors, including with the help of this, it's actually the digital representation of Earth's surface, including all natural and man-made features such as trains and buildings and the vegetation. You can see these are vegetations, and this is some kind of a building. So with the help of this we can use different remote sensing and photogrammetry techniques in order to develop the 3D visualization of the field. So another important step in this high throughput phenotyping is radiometric calibration. Before flying the drone, we have to do with every sensor. Before flying the drone, we have this card with a QR code. We scan this code while there is no shade on it. So later on, in drones, we have you can see on this sensor, we have also attached a quantum sensor over here. You see, maybe you can see over here. This is a quantum sensor. This EB has built-in quantum sensor. So with the help of this quantum sensor, we can analyze sunlight reflection. Sunlight reflection plus what we have took that image of that QR code, and later on we can make adjustments while processing these images. So radiometric calibrations involves applying corrections to the intensity or return value of each point in the point cloud to standardize their radiometric properties. This process minimizes variation caused by the factors such as sensor gain, atmospheric effect, surface reflectance, ensure consistencies and accuracy in the radiometric attributes of the data. So with the help of this, we can apply these corrections to our point cloud, what we have generated in the previous slide. So this thing you have to do it before flying your drone on every flight in order to capture the actual reflectance. And one thing important is that the best time of flying this drone is, you can say that when we have from 10 to like 10 to 12, because during this time period we have shortest shadows. Otherwise, these shadows of nearby trees, buildings, and some other steps can create problems. We have to make a lot of adjustments or corrections in our data if there are shadows from the cloud or from the nearby buildings. So afterwards, finally, we will generate these different vegetative map generation. This is the vegetation map is the spatial representation that illustrates the distribution, composition, and the characteristics of vegetation across our landscape. With the help of this, we can find out the patterns, trends, and the spatial relationships between different traits of the vegetations. Next step, because in this particular experiment, each plot have different genotype. So an important part is to identify is the plot extraction. So now we will extract each and every plot from the image. Every plot. we design plot grids according to the area of interest, determine the size and the shape of the plots based on the point of interest. For example, we will exclude this part because this is not wheat. Not we will exclude. So this is another important step in order to compare these different genotypes. We have to extract their particular area from each image. From each image. And afterwards, finally, now we have we have extracted the data of each of the genotype. We develop and train AI models to automatically extract different trains from that particular data. Analyzing multispectral or the thermal data to quantify vegetation indexes, we can calculate NDVI, biomass, chlorophyll content, and other biophysical parameters. So, for example, this graph shows the canopy cover of these different genotypes. You can see how different genotypes have different canopy cover. So this is what we have generated by deploying different AI models on this data collected through drones. So now I will show you a small video of about this whole procedure. All these steps are also explained over here. In this, we also calculated the plant height, canopy cover. These are different AI models we have implemented. Beside collecting data with the help of drones, in order to for ground truthing, we also use handheld sensors like LP80 and green seeker to calculate the NDVI, and later on we can make some kind of a comparison to see to validate our the data we have derived through UAVs. So this is also very important in order to validate our results, that we should have some ground truth data. For example, for the biomass, we can use NDVI. We calculate the NDVI with the help of our drone sensor. We also calculated the NDVI with the help of green seeker. Same is the case with plant height. We physically measure a plant height in the field with the tape, and also compared what we have derived it with the help of our drone and the sensor. So it will help to validate our field our UAV data. This is our precision agriculture lab at University of Faisalabad. This is our field area. We are installing different GCPs around the field. This is another work we have done with the help of these sensors to monitor, to develop the DSM of water channels. So this is our work, and there are a few limitations. So the most important thing to mention while using drones is they have very limited flight time. They have a specific payload capacity, and weather conditions are very important because particularly in our country during the wheat, particularly in the case of wheat, in January and mid of February, we have a lot of fog actually. So, and because of this fog, it's very hard and difficult to fly the drone because we do not get much reflectance from the plant. So this is a very critical issue. And even while in April during the harvesting time, particularly in this year, we have a heat wave. Temperature was above 40. And when the temperature goes above 40, these drones, it's very hard, very difficult to operate these drones in the field because their batteries and their doesn't support this much temperature. So weather conditions are really important while using these drones while using these drones in the field. So our ongoing research aims to enhance these UAVs capabilities for wheat phenotyping through improved sensors and data processing techniques. We are also working on the integration of UAV data with other technologies such as we have the data from the Landsat and the Sentinel, and we also trying to develop some kind of a yield estimation model based on biophysical parameters, in which we are combining this UAV plus satellite plus our agroclimate parameters in order to develop this model. Future development will be based on it could revolutionize wheat breeding, crop management, and agricultural sustainability. So thank you. If you have any question, please free to ask.